And hello, everyone. Welcome to, I don't know, there's a whole bunch of things going on today. Oops, I forgot to open up my, whoops, sorry. There we go. And we have better light. I has a hat. I has a hat because I have 3 reasons to celebrate today. Today, of course, is the start of Camp NaNoWriMo. And today is also the start of World Animal Summer Camp event. And today is also Canada Day. So, naturally, I have to represent. Check out the chat here. Everyone says hi. That's great. Lorraine says, Happy Canada Day. Are things exploding outside? Not yet. They will explode tonight. Oh, thank you very much for the follow. Right on. Hey, you did come to raid. Karan J. Fox, he has a channel. And I see I have raiders coming in. Thank you very much. He's one of my fellow Anvilites, so nice to see you guys, and thanks for joining me. Let's see, I've actually got a few follows I have to thank since the last time that I was on. Smunchy and Smunchy Games, RPG Dinosaur Bob, Isaacathon, that's a cool name. Aya is writing, that's cool. Glarvole, I hope I'm doing that right, Glarvol. Akimoto's. So thank you very much for the follows, guys, and welcome to the channel. I do writing streams every Wednesday at 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. Pacific time, and I also do World Anvil streams specifically on the weekends. That time for that is not on my schedule because it varies. It depends when I have available, but it's usually in the afternoon or evening on Saturday or Sunday. And then we playcast our fantasy space opera game that takes place in one of my World Anvil worlds, the Toy Soldier Saga, every Monday night at 6 p.m. Pacific and it runs till 9 p.m. Pacific. So, you know, oh yes, and now we're also doing our podcast, If This Goes On, Don't Panic, which we'll be doing every second Thursday, and that's coming up tomorrow, right? Where we interview people in the speculative fiction community, and we focus on hope and resistance and hope punk. So, and tomorrow we're gonna have Smunchy from Smunchy Games on, so I'm very excited. So, there we go. So there's a thing about stuff coming up. Big Juicy showed up. Hello, just finished my 4th week of writing, up to 46k words. Holy shit, I'm impressed. Good for you. Thank you for joining me. We will be doing some writing sprints, I hope, today. Oh, and thank you for the follow, Kajitan98. Welcome. Turanded Hero says, the greatest of all days, as South Park put it, it is a glorious day for Canada, and therefore the world. Damn rights. Damn rights. Although I've got to say, actually, Canada Day ends up being a bit of a barbecue kind of outdoor get-together kind of thing in Canada. We save our patriotism, ironically, for Remembrance Day more often. Although, you know, you see Canada flags and, you know, we do fireworks and, you know, there's usually live events in the park with lots of music and it's fun, right? But the solemn patriotism stuff is saved for Remembrance Day. So, yeah. Awesome either way, right? Canada is awesome, I think. Well, I don't know. I like it. We have some flaws. We're working on them. That is what makes us awesome. Alright, all the raiders saying hi and giving me flaming world anvils, which is awesome. So glad to see you all. Bobicus greeted them. Thank you. Hi, Bobicus. Nice to see you. Nathalia Books says, oh, spaghetti pasta, so you are one of Fox's fans. Nice. Okay. Yeah. And World Anvil cheers, which are great. Glarvol. Okay, I was better the second time. Thank you for helping me clarify. That's great. Yeah, better the second time. Glar like car, vol like mole. Okay, gotcha. I will remember. Dragon Love Water says, hey, I was gifted a sub. That's perfect for Canada Day. Well, thank you to whoever's handing out subs. I didn't see, so that's really cool. Thank you so much. Awesome. Okay. Lorraine says, and the border is usually the opposite of hell on Canada Day than wandering in the cities on it. I don't know. That's most... Oh, and Shy Red Fox is here. Hi. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, I don't know, right? Like, most Canadians live within 100 kilometers of the American border. Why? Because that is the nicest climate in our country, right? And before you start making jokes about a whole country north of Buffalo, Buffalo is a unique case because that whole Niagara region and the Great Lakes region gets a lot of snow. We don't get quite that much snow where I am in the Okanagan Valley, right? So, and Mergendor joined me, and thank you for the follow. Right on. All right, well, I'll stop jaw-jacking about nonsense here, I guess, and Canada, because, I don't know, some of you care, some of you probably don't, right? And instead, I will talk about the events that are going on, right, which are Camp NaNoWriMo and World Anvil Summer Camp event. So this is like my 9th year doing Camp NaNoWriMo. And I gotta be honest, I never take it very seriously, right? I save the seriousness for November when the official NaNoWriMo event goes on. But I'm going to take it more seriously this month because I've started a cabin and I'm doing these streams, and therefore I feel like I should be a good example. So, let's see, we'll go to the Camp Nano site. So this is, here, sorry, I gotta change my screen back to the main. Okay, so this is my cabin. We are the Cosmic Worldsmiths. A lot of you are in it, so I'm really excited to see you. That's great. Right? And this is a place where we can exchange messages and encourage each other and keep each other up to date. Right? The Cosmic Worldsmiths are here to chew gum and forge worlds, and we're all out of gum. Special welcome to my Twitch Writers Network and World Anvil friends, and the same holds true here. Alright, so my project, let's see here, projects. Theoretically projects. Okay, there we go. It's my page. So I'm doing a combination of things. I'm doing the next Weird West story, which actually has a title now. It's called Borderland, right? And I am going to spend the rest of the time, whatever I have left, whatever, word count I need to do, on working on the 3rd book of the Toy Soldier Saga series, which is in raw draft right now. I've set my goal for 20,000 words, rather than the 50,000 words that I would do for November, and that is because I'm also doing Summer Camp, and I've never done that one before, so I don't know how long that's going to take me, right? So I've got to try to balance the time. Right, so this is what I'm doing here, right? So those of you who don't know, if there's anybody, NaNoWriMo is an event where you are challenged in November, right, to write 50,000 words, the length of a novel, in a month. And during the camp events, which are in April and July, right, then you set your own pace and you try to reach that goal, and it can be writing or it can be editing or whatever is related to writing. I'm drafting. That's what I need to get done. That's what I need to get back into doing. I've been editing. I've been world building. I haven't been doing a lot of drafting, and I need to buckle down and do it. So, all right. What have I missed in the chat in the meantime? A few things. Okay. Dragon Love Water says, no, it's how I got the maple syrup emote. And okay, that's cool. Right on. Maple syrup is, yes, we leave out maple syrup last night for, Father Hockey and, or butter tarts. That's also an acceptable offering. Right? And if we're good, then maybe he gives us with hockey pucks. And if we're bad, then Phantom LaPlante comes to beat the crap out of us. And some of you will know who I'm talking about, some of you won't. Alright. I'm kidding for all that, by the way. Just, for the record. Okay. Ooh, Walking Dead lover. Disturbing proclivities there. Okay, so be right back. I'm gonna make me some coffee. Okay, cool. Right? People waving to each other. That's great. Secondhand Samurai, and welcome. Thank you for joining me. Says it's coffee time. Good to see you manning the writing rigging. Ahoy there. Yeah, you bet. Volume's a touch low on my voice. Okay, let's see what I can do with that. Just a second. Thank you very much for the information. I will open up my mixer. Sound settings. And see if I can fix this. Oh! Well, what the heck is this? Okay. Test, test, test. Oh, it says it's working. Maybe I'll turn it up a bit. I don't know if that helps. And I will turn down the music. How is that? Nope. Okay. It's titchy. How's that, guys? Is that better? All right, back to NaNo. Okay, how's that for the balance? I'll check that first. No response. Okay. Mergendor, question. How does one join a cabin? I don't know anymore. They changed all the systems, right? It used to be that you could sign up for Camp NaNo, right? And then let's see if I can find it on the front page. Maybe that'll help me, right? You could sign up, and then if you didn't know anybody, accidental screenshots, gotta love those, right? You could search and find a cabin. So that could be under this block here, writing groups, right? Which is where my cabin is that I, started, right? But, see, like they got this button here, find home region. I'd assume they have a button here that if you don't already have a cabin, says find a cabin, right? And if somebody's got a free spot, then it will put you in the queue to join the cabin, right? Otherwise, you can set up your own cabins and invite your friends. And I would invite you because I'm friendly and whatnot, but I think my cabin is now full. So, because a bunch of people accepted my invitation. So I hope that is of some help. Lorraine says, your Canadian syrup mythology is awesome. We set off explosions to scare away Father Hockey and try to keep him from gifting us with snow. It rarely works. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't know. We set off fireworks because we like the colors, because this would, Father Hockey seems undeterred, and this would definitely not scare off Phantom the Plant. Oh, hey, Space Trash! Nice to see you! Welcome, and thanks for the follow. That is cool. Alright, so Trended Hero yells, Sable! Oh, redeeming posture check, thank you. I always need those, I'm terrible. Especially when I'm, trying to read shit. Oh, and thank you for the bits, Mergendor. Right on. Thank you so much. That's really appreciated. Laura Bones says, Roar! Hype roar! Lorraine agrees with the roar and says hi. Shy Red Fox says, I think it's better, can hear your voice more. Okay, that's good. Normally I'll sit a little closer. Normally my webcam volume is sufficient that I don't have to move my podcast mic around between my playcast, which we do in the living room. So, but, if it continues to be a problem, let me know, and next time I'll set up the podcast mic. Oh, no problem, Secondhand Samurai says, thanks, sorry to distract. No, not at all, that's fine. I would like to know that I am clear. Glarvol says, I think it's by invite now, right? Sorry, I'm editing while listening. No, that's good. You should be editing while you're listening. You're here to write, right? That's why you're here, so. Lorraine says she found the cabin by searching for me. So if I have a spot open, feel free to search. It is Sable Aradia is my name on Camp NaNo as well as World Anvil. Right. Mergendor says, it's my first year for NaNoWriMo. Congratulations! And I don't know anyone, and there's no one in my region. Well, you have friends now, and yeah, come check it out. I'll tell you what, actually, do I still have my Discord open? Yes, I do. Okay, so I will send you an invitation to my Discord, right? We will be doing writing sprints off camera and talking about writing. And actually, it's a really lovely community that has established itself there. I think you'll really enjoy it. So, like, they're good people, and they're good people with or without me. They continue to be awesome people, whether I am on or not. So, and there's lots of writers. So, I will invite you. Just a second. There we go. So, here is the invite to my Discord. I'm not going to be greeting anybody right now, though. I will be doing that after because I need to concentrate on the stream. Trended Hero says, first article is nearly done. Well, you've got a head start. I was deliberately waiting for the start of the stream to do this, so congratulations, and good for you for being ahead of the game. Glanonothur, the Pure Nature ones. I hope I have pronounced that right. Awesome. Glarville says, I think you can do it from your friends list as well. I don't think you can do it any other way now. I've not looked into it for a few years, though. Yeah, I don't know, because they changed everything when they changed the website, which, you know, is really kind of crappy. But if you can't find a cabin, you can come hang out with me in the Discord. We will be doing lots of stuff. Space Trash Waves High. Lorraine asked Mergendor what their region is. Glarville says it can be lots of fun to Mergendor. And, oh, hey, great. People are offering help in the chat. I love to see that. Glarville says, feel free to poke me, as I'm going to try to do it this year, as I have to get back into the writing thing again. I know, right? Me too. Yeah, maybe I have to get some music done first, though. You're a musician as well. That's awesome. Walking Dead Lovers is back, and I see we're talking about NaNo now. Yes, but we will be talking about SummerCamp in a minute. Lorraine says, I'm 1/3 through my first SummerCamp article, got distracted with chatter about moons. I saw that as I was setting up, since that's the celestial body I'm writing about. And Mergendor says that they are in Arkansas. Okay, that's cool. I don't know anybody in Arkansas off the top of my head. But I'll tell you what, here's another thing you can do. If you're on Twitter, what you do is you tag NaNoWriMo or Camp NaNoWriMo and you say, hi, I'm new. Is anybody in the Arkansas area? And somebody, I am sure, will talk to you immediately, because NaNo, like World Anvil, is a wonderful, supportive, friendly, awesome community where people are there to encourage you and to help each other, right? So you will have no trouble making friends. I sure didn't, and I'm socially awkward, so I'm sure you will be great. Yeah, there we go. Some chatter back and forth about that. I'm not going to read all of it because I think that could keep me way too busy. Yes, and then, yeah, Lorraine's, well, I might as well, I guess. Okay, yeah. Lorraine encouraged her to join cabins, and Discord's a great help. Oh, and thank you for the follow, Walking Undead Lover, right on. Glarville confirms Twitter is a good way to hooking up with nanoites, and Rymos, yeah. And then Lorraine sends hugs of welcome. That's cool. I just realized I have 20 people in this stream. I think that's the most active people I've had in a stream yet. I'm still fairly new to this, guys. So, cool. Thank you all for your support. So, out of curiosity, who's here for Camp NaNoWriMo and who's here for World Anvil Summer Camp? I'm just curious, because that way I know, you know, where I should start, right? But in the meantime, while people are answering that question, I will, since I have briefly talked about NaNo, I will now talk about World Anvil Summer Camp. Right, so those of you who don't know, World Anvil is a world creation utility. It's a place where you can forge information about the worlds that you're working with, whether you're a role player or a writer. I signed up like just after NaNoWriMo in November, and I bought it for myself for a present for a record time finish for me. Right, and I just keep upping my membership because it's fucking awesome, and I strongly encourage any writer out there or role player to use it because it's amazing. I seriously I tried to create something like this before, and I wanted it to be kind of a combination fan wiki and world Bible for myself, and it literally took me 4 websites to approach an approximation of what I can do with this. So, okay, awesome. And if you want to know, is the price worth it? Yes. I have an Inner Sanctum membership that's one of the higher tiers now, and worth every dime. No question. All right. So, what is summer camp? You get 33 prompts over a period of 30 days. You write a short article about them. I believe the word count minimum is 300 words, right? And then you submit them for some of them offer prizes, some of them don't. I am sponsoring a prize this year. My prize will be in the 2nd tier. It will be a tradition challenge. We are told not to tell you what our criteria are for choosing the winners because they're emphasizing the participatory aspect this year as opposed to making it a cutthroat competition, which I approve of, right? So, but don't worry, my criteria is basically, totally subjective. So there's not much that you can do to gear it towards what I want. I know what I like when I see it. So, do your best, have fun, submit to the challenge. The prizes are books, right? I will be sending you books, right? Books that I have written. There is a package, and I have a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd prize. So there will be lots of stuff given out, and I'm really excited about it. It's my first time sponsoring anything at World Anvil, and it's my first time doing summer camp myself. So, all right, so what you do is you write articles using the template that they assign. And for those who aren't familiar, I will show you because we will be doing this. I will be starting the articles. Right? These are the first set of prompts. They're releasing them kind of like a week at a time, right? Well, a little more than a week at a time, like 10 at a time. Right? So, I am going to, I don't know, I was chewing on whether or not I should just do the one that was scheduled for the day, or whether I should do whichever one I got the idea for first. Right? I'm going to be disciplined, and I'm going to do it in order. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because I've found that if I write about the things that I find it easiest to write about first, and I don't do it sequentially, then I find myself dragging my ass over the things that I wasn't as excited about, and they take longer because I am bored, right? Excuse me. But if I do it right in an order, and I write mostly sequentially too when I'm writing manuscripts, right, then I actually do it. Right, so that's my plan. So today's prompt is write about a myth or legend relating to a famous long lost item. Now I'm going to try to do this for both of my worlds, for all of the challenges. I don't promise to be successful at this, but I'm going to try. So that's the plan. All right. So back to the chat for a minute here. And Azelle says, World Anvil Summer Camp 2020. Kajitan says, Summer Camp. Walking Dead Lover says, I'm here for both. Mergendor says, both. Lorraine says, both. Both camps. Space Trash says, Summer Camp. Glarvel says, I'm a weird mix. I like writing, music, art, movie picks, too many other things to list here. Chat messages have a character cap. I hear you, friend. I'm the same. I'm one of those insane... Oh, thank you for the posture check. Yeah, I'm one of those crazy multi-creatives myself. I do music, I do writing, I sort of help design role-playing games, although mostly that's my hobby. I dabble in art, right? And I can't make up my mind. I think I'm more of a writer than anything else because I had to pick a priority, but I do a lot of different stuff. Yes, I'm kind of insane. Akimoto says both camps. Glarval says, I like doing both camps. I don't know if I'll be doing Nano Camp this year, though. I plan on hitting November in the teeth, though. Well, okay, so this is the place to be, because I am going to try to stream a couple times a week at least, if not every day, in November. And it's going to be all Nano all the time. So we're going to have a good time. And if I can help you out, I will. Right? I love it, and I never would have published without it. And so I'm a bit of an evangelist about it. If somebody's interested, I want to tell you. So Mergendor says, working on my World Anvil person article about religious leader. That's one of the other prompts. Yeah. I'm also using my World Anvil word count goal for NaNoWriMo. I'm chewing on whether or not to do that. Right? I am going to try not to, which is why I set the cap at 20,000 words. But I admit that if I end up running really short, I probably will actually do it. So, Anazel says, just done my Apex Predator one. Excellent. Lorraine confirms the 300 word minimum. Glarval says, LOL, a true author. I know what I like when I see it. So hard to plan for that. That's right. I don't want you to plan for that. I want you to have fun and write what you want to write and enjoy it, and I'll like it if I like it, right? I'm just giving out prizes because I want to give out prizes to people because it's fun. Okay. Trended Hero says, how does this sound? The Glanonothur are a species of sentient constructs. That's cool. Birthed in areas where nature and magic intertwine. They are viewed as protectors by the natives of the New World, though some in the Old World often go out of their way to hunt and kill them. Due to paranoia and suspicion and xenophobia, right? That's a shame. But that sounds fucking awesome, actually. I think that's a very cool idea. Aw, Shy Red Fox says, Waves, sorry, gotta go, but wanted to stop by. Glad your stream is going well today. Well, thank you for popping in and being supportive. You're awesome, and I will see you later. I believe you've also already streamed today, and you will be streaming throughout the month. Guys, when you go down to the, whatever it is, support these streamers or whatever, at the bottom of my page during SummerCamp, it will list mostly a bunch of World Anvil people. They are all doing streams related to SummerCamp if you want to follow them. So, and lurk mode must be engaged, says Glarval, because family thingies. That's fair enough. You're more than welcome to lurk, and you can always watch later too. So, awesome. All right, so that is what I'm planning to do today. Oh yes, I almost forgot. I am giving out prizes for NaNoWriMo as well. This is going to be a thing that I'm specifically doing on this channel. And how this is going to work is, if you succeed at your goal, whatever it is, right, then you will be entered into a raffle, if you tell me, right, where you will win I do a class online called Writing in the Cracks, Finding Time for Writing When You Have None. I figure that NaNoWriMo people can all definitely use it, and a lot of it does come from tips I've learned from Nano over the years. I should probably have the downtime thing on now, shouldn't I? So I will be giving out, I think, 3 of these classes, so you will have 3 chances to win, and all you have to do is achieve your goal and let me know you've done so. Right? We'll do like a celebratory stream near the end of the month. So keep your eyes on space. And then we got a lurky face from Second-Hand Samurai. And Lorraine says, technically lurking as she's writing about the second of 3 moons. Well, you go ahead and write. That's great. Do not let me stop you. Okay, so I guess I'm going to get started on stuff. Right? So let's go here. All right. Main Street. Okay, so we're going to start right about a myth or legend relating to a famous long-lost item. Oh, and later on, I'm going to show you something that's cool for the NaNoWriMo portion. I am going to show you their new manuscripts. I guess you call it application, right, at World Anvil, which is kind of like a combination of Scrivener, Dabble, and Wattpad. right? And I'm going to be writing my manuscript in that application to demonstrate how it works and, you know, learn it and play with it myself. And it just went to open beta today. So it is in beta testing and it is available today. And I think it's really cool. So, all right, myth or legend relating to a famous long lost item. Well, shit. Okay, so first of all, I think the best way to do this is not to screw around too much with what to mess around too much with like overthinking things. So I'm just going to click their right prompt and start right there. So it'll take me to the appropriate template because they're smart and they've set that up. So this is the myth template. I'm currently in my Weird West world. So this is actually more difficult for me to think of than my Toy Soldiers Saga world because I know what I'm going to write there. So what am I going to write for this one? Good, start with the hard one first, right? Yes, checking the chat while I procrastinate. Lorraine says, but chatting is fun. Space Trash says, also lurks while writing on a prompt. That's great. Mergendor says, World Anvil Manuscripts is the bomb. It is really cool, actually. I am very excited to show it to you. Kajutan says, Wattpad plus Scrivener, so just call it Homer. Yeah, that's what they called it, right? When they were developing it, Project Homer. I love it. 200 Hero says, Weird West would be perfect for building repurposed. Yes, actually, I thought of something right away when I heard that prompt. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I know exactly what I'm doing. So, yeah, like an old gas station becoming a military base. Yes, because it is a post-apocalyptic setting, and therefore there are lots of opportunities for repurposed buildings, for sure. Yeah. Oh, hey, actually, thank you. That put me in a different direction. I think I might write about a different building now, which I've already introduced in the story. So, Bobicus says, is your Weird West all humans, or do you have elves and things? You damn rights I have elves, right? Basically, it's like, let's see. Well, okay, someone said it's like Fallout, and with Firefly, with, Supernatural with Shannara. So that's like, I actually used that as a blurb on the book because I thought, yeah, that's a pretty good description, right? Or it might be described as Tolkien meets Tombstone, right? Yeah, it's got elves and gnomes and dwarves and steampunk stuff and paladin type characters called gunslingers and anti-paladin type characters called desperados and sentient horses and witches and necromancers and zombies and wendigos and giant bugs that are sentient, kind of like Threadcrane. So yeah, lots of, it's fun. I like writing it because it's fun. Secondhand Samurai says, Scribes! World Anvil cheer. Yes, it was called Scribes in 2017 when we wanted Dimitri to add it. Yes, and every time it was mentioned on stream, Janet from World Anvil would be like, Scribes! Because she's a writer. So that's hilarious. Yes. True Undead Hero says, I am considering making the Magical University in Kalamago a former elven temple, which was once a magical wellspring. Well, that certainly sounds like a good place for a magical university, and I like your chain of logic there. Kajutan says, Secondhand Samurai, for me it will always be Homer, right? And Secondhand Samurai says, Swords at Dawn! Yes, there was a whole big debate about that, so. Okay. So we're going to get started. We're writing about a mythological item, is what we're writing about, right? That's what I said, wasn't it? Just a second here. Yes. Myth or legend relating to a famous long-lost item. That's what I'm writing. I know exactly what to write. Pistols of the first gunslinger. Ha ha ha. According to myth, the first gunslinger, a mysterious figure. Actually, you know what? I'm off starting, so is anyone here for writing sprints? Probably not. Okay. Kajutan says sentient. You mean intelligent like humans. You should say sapient. I am not having that argument. I am not. I am not that technical, and I do not care. Actually, here we go. Let's do it. Dictionary.com. Are you right? Let's find out. Sentient. Okay, maybe I shouldn't, because you're right. Obviously, it's sentient, but yes, having the power of perception by the senses, conscious, aware, self-aware, characterized by sensation and consciousness. And archaic use, the conscious mind. Well, that's more of in the way that I meant it. Let's try sapient. Having or showing great wisdom or sound judgment. Not necessarily. Just because something can think does not mean that it thinks well. So therefore, neither word is actually appropriate. So, there. Rawr! Okay. I don't care. I'm just being funny. Okay. Akimoto says, so what makes an item mythological? The item or the story later on? Right? That's a good question. I would say it's more of the story, right? Like, the item could be really cool, but if nobody has ever heard about it, that is not a myth, right? A myth is something that affects, it's a story that has a bearing on a culture, right? When we are taught myths, right, we learn about things, these stories matter and affect who we are as a people and how we think of ourselves, right? So, like, biblical stories are a myth because they influence our over culture and the way in which we interact with people, right? Greek mythology, Norse mythology, these have cultural effects, right? We have a myth about the Wild West. I play on that myth quite a lot in this series, actually, so I would say that's a myth because it's kind of an embellished heroic idea where we've got this idea of this wild land and, people fighting to survive and, intrepid explorers and, daring indigenous people defending their homeland and lots of, that kind of thing, right? So, and a lot of the stuff that we learn from movies and spaghetti westerns is not really true, and so it's a myth, right? But we believe it, and it affects our narrative of ourselves, right? I would also argue that Star Wars and Star Trek are myths, because you can reference them, and the Avengers, right? You can mention them, everybody understands what you mean, the story has resonance, it speaks to something in our psyche, right? So yeah, it's complicated, right? Okay, Lorraine says, sure, she'd be in for sprinting. Okay, cool. Walking Dead Lover says, I'm merging the mythological item and valuable artifact, separate articles but still connected. That's cool, and there's no reason why that can't happen. My Toy Soldier Saga mythological item is also a powerful artifact, so yeah, absolutely, kind of goes together. Kajutan says, sapience, noun of sapient, is the ability to think and reason. This is a difficult topic. Okay, if you're going to continue the discussion, right, then I need sources. Where is your source? What dictionary did you get that from, right? Because I think that people are far too quick to parse things that are not necessary to be parsed, right, in my personal opinion, right? I don't mind if you want to continue the discussion, but I'm going to need references because that's not what the dictionary that I looked up just said that it meant. So if, like, it sounds to me like there is a group of people who are trying to impose their meaning on the rest of us, and I resist that stuff. I'm not very fond of that. I like to have options when I use words. That's one of the things about the English language that's lovely. There's lots of words that mean very similar things, and you can choose from them, right? That's just my opinion. So, all right. Akimoto says, yeah, complicated for sure. Secondhand Samurai says, isn't sophont another popular word in sci-fi for that type of thing? Yeah, probably. I've seen it, right? But you get the idea, right? I've got a philosophy that if you understand what a person means, you should not correct them, right? But yeah, I mean, it's another concept, and it's very much more specific, especially if we're speaking in a science fictional context. I'm not necessarily. My worlds are science fantasy. There's very powerful fantasy element, but cool. Yeah. Lorraine says, last summer I connected my food plant to a military conflict, mostly because I run with the idea that all wars are wars of resources. That's a good argument. I would say not all of them, but I think a lot of them are, for sure. And most wars are probably motivated by resources. I think politics has a great deal to do with it too. Fascist dictatorships and autocratic governments like to find enemies that they make up an excuse to attack, right? First of all, because it keeps their people distracted from realizing that the government is the enemy and, makes them hate other people, right? And the second thing is that it gives them an excuse to take their stuff, right? So there's your resources again, and you got a good point there, right? So, okay. So that's just my opinion. Everybody's got a different opinion, right? Okay. Yeah, let's do some sprinting. How about that, guys? And as usual, I forgot to bring. No, wait, did I? Ha! I do have my phone in here. I'm smart. Okay. No, I'm not smart. I'm lazy. I set my alarm on my phone so I would wake up in time to make sure the stream was ready. So that gives me an opportunity to do it. Okay, so timer. How long shall we sprint for? Those of us who are doing that, right? I will come back and check the chat once what do you think? 10 minutes to start with? Is there anyone who needs an explanation on what a word sprint is? Probably 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Oh, and Lorraine says making up an excuse to attack sounds like popular opinion is the resource. All right, fine. Akimoto says, I want to know. Okay, cool. How a word sprint works. This is something that we get from NaNoWriMo. And basically you set a time period. And in that time period, you write as much as you possibly can. You don't worry over much about editing, right? You don't allow yourself to become distracted by other things, right? You're like, okay, I'm here for X amount of time. And in that time, I'm going to write. And then when we're done, we, if you want, right, we compare word counts, right, either for fun or for friendly competition. I'm cool with either. I usually get my butt handed to me. I'm not the fastest writer in the world, right? I'm just persistent, right? And, then if we encourage each other, right? And it's a lot of fun. Yeah, Akimoto says, maybe like dumping a brainstorm. Yeah, it can definitely be that, right? The idea is just to try not to, overthink yourself, for one thing. We often overthink our choices of words as writers. I know, weird after the discussion I just had, but it's true. And we often... hesitate, we feel self-doubt, we're not sure we're doing this right, is this working? Don't worry about any of that shit, just write it, right? Just write it, you can edit it later. You can't edit a blank page, so, just get it on the page. right? Mergador says sprinting with you, awesome, thank you, right? And Lorraine says word vomiting is also a fun description. Yep, just pour it out, do it, and you know, you can laugh at yourself later. It's fun. You guys can laugh at me. Watch me work. It'll be hilarious. Okay, right? All right, let's do it. I think we'll start with 10 minutes because we don't want to scare away people who may not be used to the format, right? Akimoto says, brainstorm is more for a group, but word sprint is more suitable. I like the idea. It fits me. That's cool. Right on. I love it. I think it's fun. Sometimes I'm not in a place in my writing where word sprints are ideal, right? Sometimes I do have to really think about where I'm going with it. I've been having that issue in my Toy Soldier manuscript, Brothers in Arms, right? I'm at a place where I kind of got a place. I'm at a place where actually the manuscript's application in World Anvil will be especially helpful to me, because what I need to do is lay out my scenes, play with the order a bit, right? Get a feel for pacing, right? Decide what I need, and then work from there, because I'm at a place where I'm about to start working towards the climax, and it's like a big thing I've been planning for 3 books, and I'm ready, and I'm stoked, and I feel like I'm fucking it up, right? I'm probably not. I'm probably fine, but, you know, it helps me to kind of know exactly where I am, so I know where I'm going, and every now and then I have to take stock and do that, and this is one of the places where I'm at. Right? Weird West, not so much. The story I'm currently writing, I'm about halfway through, and I just kind of ran into a wall, and I'm just not going to write what I was writing and work from a different place and go from there. Kajetan says, as Polish people say, I return your honor. It seems that both meanings of sapience are corrected. Oh, okay, cool. Right? The one you found is a dictionary meaning, and mine is a sci-fi meaning. That's cool. That's really cool. Fair enough. Right? Okay, I return your honor. My grandmother was Polish, so I'm very interested in Polish culture. Thank you for telling me about that. That's a thing. I like that. Akimoto says, I noticed the manuscript a few days back. Yes, yes, it is ready. It is ready. And it's fun. I've been alchemy testing it, so I waited until it was mostly designed before I started playing with it, because you know, I'm not that technically savvy, and I was afraid that I would break it, and me. So, all right, we're going to sprint. Just a second. I'm going to see where my music is at here. Okay, I got 10 minutes of music, so that is fine. Where was I here? There's my page. Okay, so I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 words, so I cannot include that. Where is that? I'm going to use that word counter app. That's what I'm going to do. Although I do not have to use the word counter app in manuscripts. So, let's get writing, shall we? Okay. There's the word counter app. Here's my page. And everybody ready? 10 minutes, starting now. Wow, is that 10 minutes already? Holy cow. That went by fast. I like that when that happens. Alright, how'd you guys do? I'll count up my words here. I'm pretty sure I didn't do as well as I thought I did. Alright, Lorraine pointed out before the chat that before the sprint, the words also evolve in meaning, so it may be a word that's in the evolving process, the difference between sentient and sapient. You could be right. I lost the stupider war. I was of the opinion that stupider, as opposed to more stupid, sounded stupid. But I lost, and that's in the dictionary, and actually people get on you sometimes if you use more stupid now. Siobhan says, heard you got raided. Yes, I did. It was awesome. Karen's people came to see me, which was awesome. Just heading off to work, thought I would pop in for a moment. Well, thank you for doing that. And Siobhan redeemed her posture check, so thank you. I really do appreciate all the posture checks. It really helps. It keeps my back from getting really sore. So I'm going to count up my words here and see how well I did. I think I have to minus 9 from that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yes, I think that's where it was. Alright, let's find out. Start with that. And where was I here? I'm in the wrong place. Oh, okay. Oh, I thought I was on a roll, but apparently I only did like 184 words in 10 minutes. Wow. Must have been coming up with the idea then. Okay. I bet you guys did better than me. But that's alright. In the meantime, I'll let you know about what I was writing. Okay, so Pistols of the First Gunslinger. I am totally making this up off of the top of my head. According to myth, the first gunslinger, a mysterious figure himself shrouded in myth, was a dual pistol slinger. His pistols were described as Colt 45 peacemakers with walnut grips. I originally said sandalwood, then I realized that I was basically stealing Whole Hawk from the Dark Tower and changed it. Right? While many of the weapons wielded by various slingers have been recovered and preserved in the Sacred Armory, notice I used the reference here for, to link it to another article, right? These legendary pistols have not. However, something like the sword Excalibur, it is also said that these pistols have reappeared from time to time, and the one who wields them invariably becomes a prophet of the Gunslinger Order. Summary. When there is a time of great need in the world, a gunslinger with the sight will be called to seek out the pistols of the first gunslinger in a vision quest. They will wander deep into the most inhospitable lands and return with the pistols, touched by the wisdom of the spirits, which I will change in the edit. These pistols are a great power against the forces of evil. Once need for them is past, they must be returned to a wild and inhospitable place so that another may take them up again when the time is right. And then I was starting on, many believe that the pistols of the first gunslinger are merely a myth, but they have been said to appear from time to time. That's where I was going with that. I also have something that it's on my clipboard at the moment that I thought might be better in a different place. I'm wondering if that was it. Nope, that was it. I already had done that. Okay. Okay, good. So that's where I'm at. How'd you guys do? Mergendor says 242 words in my vignette. Excellent. And enough altogether in the template to make the 300 word, it says Arctic, but I think you meant like limit or something, right? Trended Hero says, no! My article for the Glanonthur is Glanonthur, right, isn't good enough for the prompt. What do you mean it's not good enough for the prompt? And he says, cries. Not long enough yet, or not the right template? Lorraine says, hey, Roland is awesome. The Dark Tower needs more love. I agree completely. Right? It's awesome. It's definitely one of the influences on my Weird West book or stories, but I don't. It was definitely a strong influence there, right? So, yeah. Lorraine says, was your Glanonthur not good enough for the prompt, Trended Hero? Mergendor says, I imagine mine will need editing before I submit, but at least the words are down. Excellent! Good work! Yes, exactly. Always, get the words down, then you can edit later. Oh, article is what Mergendor meant. Yes, of course. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I should have thought. Should have realized that. Make enough for the 300-word article. Lorraine says 277 exceeded the minimum by just naming the moon for all the main names for the moon. Yeah, those are good little cheat things you can do. They're not cheats. They're perfectly within the rules. You can use them for NaNo, and you can use them for World Anvil as well. Trinid Hero says it isn't considered an apex predator, only a guardian. You were doing some research. Ah, okay. The apex predator is kind of the meanest MF in the valley, right? They're the ones who can take on pretty much anybody else, right? So, but I think there's a lot of subjectivity to that, right? Because it depends on what you're looking at. As far as creatures on that scale are concerned, your domestic cat is actually kind of an apex predator, right? Terribly feared by small animals everywhere, including such things as salamanders, which they'll kill for sport, right? So, it depends on your point of view, right? Obviously, humanity on this planet is the apex predator, right? But, yeah, right? It really kind of depends. I don't know how I'm going to handle that one with the apex predator myself. I have some pretty tough stuff in this world. It depends on where you are, so. Lorraine says someone did house cat as an apex predator. Well, yeah, on that scale, they really are. Akimoto says my hamster is an apex predator. That's great. Walking Dead Lover says 212 words, better than I thought. All right, congrats indeed. Good work, guys. So y'all got better than me. So there you go, right? You're doing fine. Lorraine says, I have skeletal tree beings who will likely be my apex predators. Yeah, I gotta think about that one. Because, let's see. I suppose my star sharks would work fine for toy soldier. Yes, there are flying sharks in space. They're not really sharks, of course. Yeah, Walking Dead Lover says, and that's with even having to look up the date to something. Good for you. I never do that shit in the middle of a word sprint. I put X and then I do it after. But awesome, right? Akimoto says, LOL, I was trying to read what you wrote, but the letters were too small, so I listened and made some map markers. Fair enough. Space Trash says, oh yeah, document prompt done and submitted. Good work. Excellent. Way to go for getting ahead of the game. That's great. Lorraine said they stab a person, her skeletal tree beings, right, and suck out the blood of their victims. But what makes them apex is that they're really hard to kill. That's pretty cool. Oh shit, I'm an idiot. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do for apex predator in Weird West. I already wrote about it. I can't believe it. So, yeah, of course. All right. Thank you. Because that is one of their things. They're really hard to kill. So, yes. We will do that. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to have a chance to stream again before the next probably, but my plan is to do the Wendigo. So, thank you for putting me onto that. Walking Dead Lover says, it bugs me if I don't have the date like a neon sign glaring me in the face. I know. I'm terrible about that too. Okay, I'm not very good at time because I have dyscalculia. So I really, okay, I have dyscalculia and I'm smart, right? So it's hard to tell that that I'm thinking about things more than other people have to a lot. But one of those things is time. I'm terrible with it. I'm always late. I, have no idea how long things take. But in order to get things clear in my head when I'm writing sequentially, I need to have the dates set out in my head. So I do it, right? And I don't wait long, but I had to train myself to leave that X when I was doing word sprints because, it just slows me down way too much, right? Obviously it didn't slow you down way too much, so you're doing fine, but it helps. Kajutan says, title rank submitted. Excellent. Congratulations. Akimoto says, dyscalculia, right? It's like dyslexia, only it's for numbers, right? The thing about numbers is that I sometimes flip them around in my head, right? I was in an honors course most of school, and my math teacher was basically like, oh, well, you're the smart kids, quote unquote, right? You can figure it out. And nobody realized until, and I don't think they even realized what had happened until I got to like grade 11 that I was struggling, right? Because that's when you start doing trigonometry, right? Now I was doing just fine with geometry and algebra and all this other stuff. But when we got to trigonometry, I kept screwing it up and I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong. Also logarithms. And what I'm doing wrong was putting numbers in the wrong order in the calculator, I'm pretty sure, right? So it's that I understood how to do it, I just kept screwing it up, right? And I do that with a lot of things, right? Like I have no good sense of time. I'm not very good at estimating distances. Like parallel parking is a real work. Like some people can just do it. I have to think. Do not distract me when I am trying to parallel park, right? Just, little things like that, right? I could get lost in my own town if I haven't been there in a while. I'm so glad we have Google Maps now, right? So just, and that's all symptoms of dyscalculia. So, yeah. Right? True Hero says, I'm thinking my title may be Marshal at Arms, which are basically a fort commander or steward of the fort. That's cool. Makes sense to me. Oh, Lorraine was helping to explain what dyscalculia was. She says it's like dyslexia, but with numbers or steps of calculations. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. That's exactly it. Akimoto says, I'm so bad with numbers. I feel you, friend. Right? Walking, and also coding. Coding is hard. I would really like to impress this on the coding people at World Anvil. I have dyscalculia. It makes coding really hard. It's really hard. I have real trouble keeping track of where I am and what I'm doing. And this is why I pester people, right? And constantly go, how do you do CSS for this? Right? Because my brain just does not do it. Right? So I really try, and I'm trying to learn, right? And I mean, like, you can overcome these things. I'm not using it as an excuse. I'm one of the best drivers I know, despite this, because I think about it, because I don't take it for granted, because I don't fall asleep behind the wheel, not because I'm really paying attention, right? Because I'm afraid of screwing it up, right? So I can do it. I will learn how to do CSS and coding and whatnot, but my brain just doesn't instantly look at it and go, okay, I know how to do that, right? Some people are like that. A lot of people at World Anvil are like that. I am not like that. I need help. So yeah, it's just a thing. right? Because people are like, well, why don't you just code XY, right? Like, it's easy. Yeah, easy for you, right? Not easy for everybody, right? So, and it's not just me being petulant. It's just that it's hard, right? Okay. Walking Dead Lover says, funny thing is, it turns out I never made a date for what I was writing. Yeah, I've done that too. Been there. Akimoto says, I wrote, I make up things and numbers are victims. Yes, fair enough. Walking Dead Lover says, I wasted time for nothing. Yeah, well, I deleted things. I shouldn't do that. So I have bad habits too. Akimoto says, I'm not easily distracted. I'm sometimes too focused. Oh, thank you for the posture check. I appreciate that. My back is very sore today. So, okay. Space Trash says, I know that feeling. Yeah, I know that feeling too. Lorraine says, hugs Walking Dead Lover. That's a familiar feeling. Akimoto says, I still use my fingers when calculating and mess up. Well, maybe you have dyscalculia too. I just typed in, there's like, I started looking into it when I typed in, like, you know, how do you know if you have dyscalculia, symptoms of dyscalculia, because someone said, you know, you've got all the symptoms, right? So I looked it up, and there was, like, you know, a professional type quiz, and I did it, and yeah, I have all the symptoms, so, okay. Mergendor said, I have a coding background, the World Anvil CSS is giving me fits too. It doesn't generally give me fits. I don't know how to do it. I go to the guide to CSS, right? When I'm trying to figure out how to do something. I do go to the guide. I go to it every time, I promise, right? And I look at it and I read the section and I go, I don't know how this applies to me. Or the thing I want to do is not listed here. I don't understand. So then I go asking the guild CSS help and I say, can somebody tell me how to do X? And usually somebody will, right? So I've done some cool CSS things with my world because people have been very helpful, and I appreciate that. I really do. Because if I had to figure it out on my own, I would be screwed. But this is why my themes don't deviate much from the standard templates. Lots of people do these amazing things with their themes, like Space Trash has some awesome stuff that he's got going on with his themes, right? He has, like, you know, changed formats and fonts and, you know, really cool stuff. Right? And, you know, Time Pool does some really awesome stuff, right? No, mine is going to look basically like the standard theme, whatever it was that I started with some minor alterations. That's what it's going to be, because I just can't. So, Walking Dead Lover says, if you go to your interface and change the editor selection to Euclid, you should be able to see BB code better. It highlights it. Yes, but it still just looks like a bunch of characters to me. So, you know, and I would have to understand BB code better. I mean, I do understand it some, because I've been on forums since the 90s, you know, and they've always used BB code, right? So it's not totally a new concept, but, you know, sometimes I just get confused. So I do switch to the legacy editor sometimes when I'm having trouble, and I find that works pretty well. But Trunded Hero says, can you give me an idea for an ancient item in my colonial dark fantasy world? Please, I will pay you in virtual hugs. I think you should have something that is associated with the Unseelie Fae. Right, since you are using, you know, Titania and Oberon as a catalyst in your world, then that pretty much opens up a whole bunch of fairy and Celtic legends to you, right? Let's see, what are some mythological items that, I mean, like, you could have a magic cauldron. There's the Cauldron of the Dagda that exists in Celtic legend. It's a cauldron where, depending on which legend you're talking about, right? It's either a cauldron where you can throw, like, stone soup into the cauldron and have enough food to feed an army, right? It doesn't matter how little you put in, right? Or it's a cauldron where if you put a dead warrior in it, they are resurrected, right? So you have, like, an unlimited, you know, resurrected battlefield of warriors, right? So something like that would probably go really well with what you have in mind. There's, let's see, there's, magical spears, magical swords, right? They get all that stuff. I suggest the cauldron because it's a little unusual. I don't know if that's any help. Lorraine says, keeping your BB code straight can be a pain sometimes. I have an article template I've BB coded together that has so much BB code that I use Notepad++ with the highlighting and even more different colors just to keep my code straight. You know what? If I ever need anything like that, I'm going to go, honey, would you please fix this for me? Because I am an idiot. And he probably will because he's much better at that stuff than me. Mergendor says, I'm just now figuring out where to put stuff. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Oh, thank you for the host, Danny. Hello, Danny Adventures. Nice to see you, and thank you very much for the host. I appreciate that. I don't know why I didn't hear it on my thing. I don't know if I was ignoring it because I was concentrating, or sorry about that. Lorraine suggests a blade, a necklace, jewelry that belonged to someone who had done some great and powerful things, as a suggestion to True Undead Hero. Walking Dead Lover says to Lorraine, I mentioned this above. If you go to your interface and change the editor, mentioned about Euclid editor being more helpful. Lorraine says, I actually use Euclid as my main editor, but my example required even more highlights than Euclid has. What the hell were you trying to do? That's what I want to know. Walking Dead Lover says, oh, okay. Space Trash says, I love the World Anvil themes, but I got readability issues with basically all of them and web design background from way back when, so I get the R World Anvil CSSY mood. Fair enough. You know what I'm doing right now is playing with font sizes, and also I just recently changed my allowed box in my Weird West theme because I was like, why is this green when all of this stuff is like blue and gold? But I don't know. I mean, like, it could have been any color. It's just that it didn't work with the, blues and golds and browns kind of template. Palette. That's the word I'm looking for that I was using. Akimoto says, I am bad with numbers, but can work structural and focused, so most people don't notice. Yes, exactly. Ditto. Right? I can't get 5 plus 3 minus 7 without using my fingers or a lot of mumbling. Fair enough. Danny says, I need to play with the different editors to see if I prefer Euclid, which I probably will. So far, just using the default one. Also, hi! Hi back! Thank you for joining me. Awesome. I find that sometimes you have to change at least to the legacy editor in order to get things to work properly because they screw up in the what you see is what you get editor, which is kind of buggy, right? But they're working on that. So hopefully that'll be straightened out soon. Trended Hero says, I might do the sisters, the 2 moons of my world for the celestial body. Yeah, I think I'm going to do, for the Toy Soldier Saga, I think I'm going to do something I called the Rainbow Nebula. And for the Weird West, I think I'm going to do the Constellation Orion, which has some unique legend stuff around it. I mean, like, I can't make something up. It's my world, right? It's Earth. It's a post-apocalyptic Earth. I mean, I could shift positions of the stars, add a couple new ones, maybe Beetlejuice burned out by then. I suppose I could have that happen. But, yeah. Akimoto says, replace idiot with friend, and they are lining up. Yeah, Danny says, no worries. Has everyone finished their prompts already? Smirk. A lot of people have. I have not. Right? I'm still working on it. Trended Hero said question and didn't say anything else, so I'm not sure. Kajitan says, I think no matter how much we try to get better in BB code, CSS, and everything, we will never reach the level of the one-eyed wizard of code. No, clearly Dimitri, before he came to Earth, decided to sacrifice his eye to the Well of Mimir for the wisdom to do code. And it worked. Odin sacrificed his for the secrets of the runes, Dimitri sacrificed his for the secrets of coding. Impresses the shit out of me too. It's awesome. Actually, we should totally tell him that. He'd probably find it funny. Alright. Lorraine says, what was I doing? I was arranging an entire city family organization hierarchy tree as seen in the government structure of this article. Cool. You know what? Why don't we look at it? Ha ha ha. You should never mention these things on stream unless you want me to see. And I'm going to show everybody else too, just because I can. Okay. Here we are. Southard City. The city of cannons, the finest smiths of war-forged weaponry in all the 5 cities, if not Sopolis itself. Awesome. Ooh, a spoiler. I'm not going to show your spoilers. Okay, history of Southard City. Ancient histories. Many of the older records were damaged from the flooding of the first level of Southard City before the second floor sank down to become the first floor. Well, okay then. Convenient. The archives have been moved up to the 5th floor after the sinkhole incident 120 years ago. Okay, I like your quote. The Southard family and the history of Southard City are tied. There's no records predating the family about the city. The earliest surviving records appear to be early drafts of the government as it stands currently. The tradition has head of management rise to be the corporate executive official. Oh, okay, so I love this. Bunch of bureaucracy. Okay, that's cool. Old history. The Southard Heirs crisis was resolved through assassination. My dear, I'm afraid you've been misled, except of course they haven't, right? Yeah. The sinkhole incident was an event where the floors of the entirety of Southern City sank below ground level. The mines were reportedly shut down for months while the caverns in the lower floors were evacuated and restructured. Holy cow. Personally, if my city sank, I would just move. Alright. That's neat. This was all for, like, today's prompt. Are you insane? Okay, I'm impressed as hell. I'm not going to write that for a single prompt day. I'm just not. But wow, this is cool. Let's see, where's your hierarchy? Is this... Okay, I see. Neat. Neat article, Lorraine. Right on. Good for you. That is cool. Alright, Trended Hero says, so I have a thing called the nullifiers or anti-mages in my world that eat metal called star metal, which fades one connection to the weave and thus becomes slowly unaffected by magic. Would that be a condition brought on by a drug? Yes, I would say it would be. I would certainly, because what a drug is a substance that you introduce into your body by some method or another, be it whatever method, right? Ingestion, injection, inhalation, right? That has an effect on your body or your mind or both, right? So I would definitely say that qualifies because it changes the nature of their bodies and probably psyches as well, right? Danny says, yeah, I live in source mode. You're awesome. Okay. Akimoto says, toy soldiers, like those little green plastic men. More like the Nutcracker type of red coat painted on metal design, because it is a fantasy space opera based in the Napoleonic Wars for inspiration and technology, even though it isn't actually the Napoleonic Wars, right? And it's about an elven marine, right? So there's my homepage. Is it showing? Yes, it is. Okay. Toy soldier, a derisive slang term for an elven marine. A Napoleonic space opera in which fantastic races sailed the stars in the seeds of cosmic trees and the ingenuity of magitech. Flintlock fantasy meets military sci-fi. World of Warcraft meets Master and Commander and Treasure Planet. So, that's what I mean by the Toy Soldier saga. Right. Space Trash says, oh yeah, Beetlejuice Supernova. You might have just saved that prompt for me if if I might steal that one. Go for it. I'm sure, you know, believe me, my Beetlejuice exploding is probably going to be different from yours. So don't don't worry about that, because I'm writing this, you know, mythological type world, and you are writing a very science fictional, relatively hard science fiction one. So awesome. It's all yours, man. No, open the spoiler. Okay, I will open the spoiler. I will go back and I will open the spoiler. Just a second. Oh, my music died. Okay, I must be at the end of the thing. Okay. Show spoiler. Oh, that's where it is. Okay, that's what we wanted to see. Holy crap, this is what you've been working on? That's impressive. Look at all this. The Southern family and how they rule everything. It's the Medicis. All right. Well, okay. Yeah, actually, it's more like pretty much every, you know, major corporate Hollywood structure. Aha. That's very clever, Lorraine. I like it a lot. Neat. That's great. I have not yet done anything that's involved in a content tree. Someday, someday. Okay. So I'm going to switch my music here. What are we at? We're at, okay. Well, I'll finish catching up the chat here. And then I think I will use the switching of the music as an opportunity to take a short break. True Undead Hero says, so, oh no, I already discussed that one. Where was I? Okay. Space Trash says that spoiler is huge. Okay, yeah. True Hero says, Steward of the Fort, or the Fort Steward, is the title given to the fortress commander or highest ranking officer of the fort if a commander has not been named. The steward is responsible for the maintenance and defense of the fort, the pay of the soldiers, and leading the militia in the event of attacks. This is a title that was created by the Viceroyalty of Famendir to help create safety and order among the regional militaries. Cool. Excellent. I'm not sure what I'm going to do for my titles. I might finally start laying out my Navy hierarchy for Toy Soldier, and probably I'll do, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to do the head of the Gunslinger Order or the head of the Courtesans for Weird West. Lorraine says, the article I sent was actually from me breaking down the Family Affairs Challenge article, January 2019, into the family and the city. Ah, says Akimoto's, I agree, yep. And Space Trash says, thank you, much appreciated. And that's probably for the Beetlejuice Supernova, and no problem. Absolutely, you're welcome. True Undead Hero redeem posture check. So, and Lorraine says, drink something. Okay, I don't have anything non-caffeine here, so we will go with the thing that actually isn't quite as caffeinated, believe it or not. And I will get something I can actually drink for hydration later. Space Trash says, I'm doing cyberpunk for SummerCamp though, but still fairly hard science. Yeah, right on. That's cool. Akimoto says, I'm still undecided. Oh, where was I? And can't choose which world I will start working on. Fair enough. That's why I'm doing both of them. I figure I could use the prompts. And this will force me not to get into elaborate, time-wasting nonsense, because I have a problem with overwriting. So I am likely to just keep, you know, writing on a thing when I'm interested in it. So I will limit myself so I can't. Right, that's what I'm going to do too. All right. Lorraine admitted the pins are empty. Danny says, speaking of, was loving your guide to the 40th century earlier space trash. Space trash does some cool stuff. I follow his stuff. He's cool, right? Space Trash says, "Oh, thanks, Danny." And Kajitan, with our inside World Anvil joke, says, "Do you say that you write about elven shoes?" I don't allow myself to write about elven shoes, but it takes work. It's more like if I'm writing about the building, I tell you about the building and its history and who founded it and some of its architecture, and I probably should stop, right? So yeah, well, no, I'm one of those people. It's more like I'm one of those people that if the essay assignment was 1,000 words in high school, I would do 1,500. I'm that person, right? They tell me short story word count is 5,000 words. I'll end up writing 6,000 and have to cut 1,000. That's me, right? So I will not succeed at this if I don't limit it, and doing 2 prompts instead of 1 forces me to be really specific, right? And yeah, space trash blushes and hides. Lorraine says, and then you tell us about who all has ever lived in the building. Hopefully not, but maybe. No, I don't. Danny says, today's suggestion was to write about an apex predator starfish, which I really want to see. That could work in Toy Soldier. There's like space analogs of star creatures. Oh, maybe I should write about the star kraken. Okay, that might be what I do. The star kraken. Yes, there is such a thing. Space Trash says, I want to see that too, Danny. That sounds like an unexpectedly badass critter. I bet it would be. Starfish are like no joke if you're in that ecosystem, man. They're scary, right? And Danny's like, Space Kraken! Yes, absolutely, there must be a Space Kraken, right? Okay. And Trended Hero suggests Moby Dick, but in space. I thought about that. There are space whales. They do exist. But I don't know. I considered it. Maybe. Maybe. Right now I'm leaning towards my Star Kraken, though. I think that'll be fun. Okay, I'm going to take a brief break, guys. I've got to get some actual hydration and a bio break. So I'll be back probably in about 5, maybe 10 minutes, but more likely 5. Space Kraken versus Space Whale. Yeah, I'd like to see that too. There, space trash. That'd be hilarious. Uh-oh. No, this might end up in a book. Right, and okay, and Akimoto says that's maybe a good way for me. Dinis Emrys, a mirror world in time before Camelot. Before Merlin was born, high magic, cafe noir, a 1920s alternate world with people like Volta, Tesla, and travel in our solar system, or Atlantis, on Earth 3 billion years ago, high tech and magic in times long gone. I love these kind of worlds. It just gives you endless possibilities when you combine magic and science elements, and then you can write anything you want, right? And it will work, and so it is fun, right? If you have a unifying theory, right, like basically my rule is when I'm doing this, physics work until they don't, right? So if I have made up something which specifically changes the laws of physics, then it will have repercussions that will affect other things as well, obviously, right? But sometimes there are magical explanations for the laws of physics, and then magic accesses the stuff better, right? So it's fun. So that sounds like a very cool idea, by the way, and I would read that book, just so you know. Okay. Trended Hero says, is a space world with Star Kraken, Kraken Lacken? Boom. Or without a Star Kraken. Yeah, Kraken Lacken, all right. That's great. Okay, we're going on a break. I will be putting on some music and a background screen, and I will see you in a few minutes. right, and we're back. Thanks for your patience, guys. All right, so I think perhaps now might be a good opportunity to show you guys some of the stuff that I was working on for the prep work. Now, I didn't get all the prep work done for SummerCamp. I still haven't done either of my scope articles, right, which I intend to work on when I have time over the course of the month, but I do have an idea of what I was doing with them, right? So, and they're important, and I need to get them done, right, because they're important to the worlds, but I will wait until I am caught up on the prompts before I do that. Well, thanks for joining me, True Undead Hero. Go enjoy your D&D game. That is awesome, and I really appreciate you being here. Aw. He says, take care, be sweet, be awesome, be SummerCamp, and redeem the posture check before he went, because he's awesome. Bye! Bye! While I was gone, Lorraine suggested space starfish kraken. Now there's a cool idea. That would be a unique creature, wouldn't it? Right? It's like a starfish and then it has tentacles too. And it's like the most dangerous thing ever. That would be really awesome. I like that very much. That is cool. I like yes and kind of stuff for sure. Alright, so I'm going to show you guys some of the stuff I was working on in the intern here. Let's see. So, okay, so this is my meta article for the Toy Soldier Saga, right? And basically I just describe a little bit about, you know, the Toy Soldier Saga is a series of fantasy space opera novels, short stories, and novellas. What do I mean by fantasy space opera? Well, beginning in the 1970s and spanning several decades, Anne McCaffrey created a series about dragon riders that, while it codes as fantasy, is pure science fiction. The Toy Soldier Saga codes as science fiction, space opera, and planetary romance, but it's pure fantasy. Right, so everything is done by magic. It's got an Age of Sail kind of feel. They are flying, magical sailing ships. Right, some of my themes: space is an ocean full of wonder and peril. Good and evil often depend upon your point of view, and war is hell. One of the things I do is I deconstruct a lot of the, you know, fantasy tropes, right? Why are orcs always the bad guys? Because the elves say so, you know? Right, so there's a war between orcs and elves in space, right? And they have some very specific ideas about each other, which are, well, may or may not be true, and I explore that. Right, so this is kind of basically where I'm going to focus on for the scope article, because scope is going to be known space, but in practice, known space tends to be a couple of very specific systems, right? And then the surrounding area, more of this map becomes visible the more books you have read, right? So areas of conflict, military, obviously it's you know, military science fiction in many ways, right? Race relations, that was a big theme. Class relations, it's a colonial age, classism is a thing. Technology and archaeology, there's kind of like, you know, almost an arms race going on, right? And rule of law, right? Is law, you know, a good thing or a bad thing? Doesn't it depend upon the people in power, right? And then some pictures, some stuff about what we do, and then sort of primer articles here, right? These are actually original music filks that I have done. This, like I said, I'm a musician too, right? And these are about the story. And then there's my suggested reading order, and there's an article to see as well. And then this is kind of my primer of the basic things you need to know in order to understand my universe. So, yeah. So that's that one. I also did a Welcome to the Weird West article, which isn't entirely done. So I'm not going to show that one to you. I do intend to finish that later today, because I hate leaving things unfinished. It's a thing. Alright. So So here's my toy soldier inspiration board. I made these aesthetics. That's what they call them. That's a thing that, you know, writers on Instagram do, and it spilled over to Twitter, right? Just kind of get a feel of what your world is like by looking at a bunch of pictures. Your world at a glance. Your novels at a glance, right? So here's some pictures, right? Some of these are original art. Some of them are taken from elsewhere. This was commissioned specifically for the Toy Soldier Saga by a guy named Aaron Siddall, whose work you should check out. Aaron Siddall illustration. I think this is a good theme song for it. Maluka's Reignite, for those of you who are familiar. Some quotes. Okay, should I read them? I don't know. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this right now. You can check it out anyway if you like, but let's just get a feel different movies and books and things that inspired the Toy Soldier Saga. I'll put the link in the chat if you guys want to check it out in more detail. Oh, people have been chatting while I've been babbling away. Danny says to Akimoto's, that setting sounds like so much fun. I agree. It sounds great. I definitely would read that book. I think I'd just like to write in that setting. Awesome. Akimoto says they are all 3 and more public on World Anvil. Feel free to put your links in the chat. They should work. Search for Akimoto's with an S. Well, that works too. Walking Dead Lover says, I just found out that human-sized bats exist? Really? Wow, I'm looking that up. Where the hell are they? That's cool. And now I have to use it as a creature for my vampires, like they're a weapon for battle. Well, that's a natural fit, isn't it? Holy cow, that's such a neat thing. I love bats. Bats are, like, awesome. That is so cool. I did not know this. Lorraine says, As Only a Soldier Can was an almost winner for the Words of World Building Challenge. Yeah, it was, too. It was, thank you. Yes, it was shortlisted for it. And I don't know what the judging criteria was, but it was more about the language and how it was used, I think. So, yeah, close but no cigar. I've done that a lot. I have a lot of those. I'm like what is it? Who was the most, you know, Oscar nominated before they ever won? I think Meryl Streep might have been or something, but no, Glenn Close. That's who it was. Nominated for the most Oscars before she ever won. That's kind of where I am. I get shortlisted for a lot of challenges, which, you know, I think I really appreciate it, and I don't know whether that just means I have cool friends, but awesome, you guys are great, but I have not yet won one. Not one. So I'm like, maybe, well, I'm not gonna win any of these. I don't think so, but they're fun. Oh, good, and Akimoto's did put the link in the chat, so do make sure to scroll back and check it out. Didn't know it was allowed to drop links. You know, I thought about that, like, and I, at one point, disabled them, but then there are far too many people who want to share their work, and I decided not to do that. I'm pretty good at banning spammers right away. I don't get a lot of problems with them, and I'm not big enough yet to get flooded, right? So I may change that in the future if I end up getting a lot of spam, but right now it's not necessary. And Danny says, thank you. I swear there was a search, but I can't find it. There is. It's on your dashboard, right? You go to your main world dashboard. So I think you can now do that just by going to the World Anvil homepage. And there is a search bar near the top now, right? Walking Dead Lover says, the Philippines. The Philippines. That's where they are, is the Philippines. Okay, there's yet another reason to go to the Philippines. It sounds like such a cool thing. I am totally going to look those up. Thank you very much. I did not know that, and I am keenly interested. Akimoto says, all artwork, if it's art, is also made by me. Well, that impresses the shit out of me that you can do that. I cannot. I dabble in art, but I rarely have as much time for it, and I'm not, like, super brilliant at it, in my opinion, so I borrow art a lot. But you know, all properly credited or public domain or whatever. Yeah, Lorraine says, I think you'd have won if Toblin was already in the Premier League. Maybe, because he was freaking amazing. He deserved to win that, and I have no arguments with that decision whatsoever, because his was... Thank you for reminding me. I was like, Yeah, there was the reason why. Yeah, Toblin's article. Toblin's article was so cool. What he did is he used his language in a video where he told the legend in the language that he made up of his elves with like music and pictures, and it was and then he had like the English on one side and the Elvish on the other. It could have been the other way around, and it was amazing. He deserved to win that, and he was awesome. Walking Dead Lover says, here's an image. Okay, I'll check it out. Oh my, they're so cute! Oh, that's so cool! I like the mausoleums in the background. That is great. Oh my god. They're so cool. Wow. I love bats. Danny says, oh, it says my search, it says search my world in the preview text, so I thought it didn't search World Anvil. Oh, maybe I've got the wrong page. I was thinking like there's a main page with the community dashboard, right, that has a search function at the top for searching World Anvil somewhere. Just a minute. I'll find it. Hold on. We'll do this. Where is it? Okay, let's start with... Why do I still have a... Oh, that's why. Okay. No. I want worldanvil.com. You can tell which site I go to the most, right? Your worlds, your memberships... Okay, this is not what I mean, so I will find it. There's a community page. Community homepage, that might be it. There you go. So, in your sidebar, go to community and go to community homepage, right? Worlds. Browse by genre. Right, search for worlds. Right, so... Let's see if it works. It might not. No, I would have to search by world name there, but that will change soon, I'm told. There will be an ability to search authors as well, right? That is something that is currently being implemented, but has not been implemented yet, but it is in progress as we speak. Okay. Lorraine says to Danny, you may have to click on the community section before you can search for worlds. Yeah. Akimoto says, cool and huge, referring to the bats. Yes, definitely. Here's one next to a human. Alright, let's check that out too. That is so cool, you're right, that is human-sized. That is so great. He's just like, what? I almost begin to wonder if that's... Because this is weird. This looks like pants here. One wonders if it's photoshopped almost, but... No, that's really cool. Wow. You're right. They're enormous. Here's some big baby bats. Big bats. And they come in like red and black too, apparently. Giant bats of the Philippines. Giant golden crowned flying fox. Okay. Neat. Absolutely coolest thing I've seen today. You and the internet. That is great. Okay. Other people are agreeing with me how awesome it is. Lorraine says, soon we will be able to follow authors too. Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Danny says, that will be good, then I can follow people. I agree completely. There are some people out there, I just want to see everything they do. Some people I might want to specifically see their world, but generally, if I like one of your worlds, I'm likely to like all of them, right? So it would be cool to be able to follow all that. Akimoto says, wanted to say something about balls, but I won't. Well, certainly that bat had a package on him. I couldn't help but notice either. Walking Dead Lover says, supposedly they're very friendly and only eat fruits and I think some nuts. Most bats are herbivores, as far as I was taught. I went to this seminar on bats once because I was just so interested, and there's a bunch of them around here. And most of them are like, you know, fruit and seed eaters and stuff. There's like, I don't remember what the percentage was, but it's actually the minority of them that eat anything meaty like bugs, right? And there's only like 2 bats in the world that actually drink blood. So, and almost never human blood because we're not big enough, and, you know, we would be a waste of time. Lorraine's agreeing with me, herbivores are insectivores. Yes. They're very helpful for getting rid of mosquitoes, I have found. There's a bat population that waxed and waned around Okanagan Lake, and when they were in small supply, the mosquitoes were in large supply. I don't know. I thought it was like something like a quarter or a third or something like that, but I could be wrong. Because Lorraine asked, oh, really? A tiny number eat bugs? Now, granted, this was many years ago, so don't quote me on that. Akimoto says, interesting animals. I agree. Walking Dead Lover says, we've also been recorded living near houses. Yeah, why not? I would definitely live near a house if I were a flying animal, right? Why not? According to this site, human-sized bats are real. Yeah, I had to check, but yeah, fair enough. They had like good source-looking information on that. So Lorraine says houses have eaves which are nice to hang from. Yes, and also warm, because humans make warm. So I would certainly live there if I were a flying creature. All right. So I got about 45 minutes left of this thing. I haven't done one prompt yet. You know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to change my conditions for... I think I'm going to edit my project here at... Oh, can I not change my goal? Update details? View project goals. Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, I can create a new goal once I have reached my goal, is how it works. Alright. It's an old cover image I made from back when it was a fan fiction story. Well, you know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to type in my word count. That's how we do it, right there. Words this session. So far I have done, where's my word counter? 184. So I gotta start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to up my goal. I'm going to change it to about 40,000 words, but I'm going to incorporate both of my prompts as well. Where was I writing? At the office. No, at home. How was I writing? PC. When did I start? I think it was about that time. So there we go. All right. So what I think I'm going to do for the next little bit here, just because I wanted to make sure to show you guys manuscripts, is I'm going to go to the manuscripts function and I'm going to do some work directly on my manuscript. So this is my current Weird West story. I've already published 6 stories in this series, which were serialized to Amazon, and then they were published in a hard copy book through a successful Kickstarter called Once Upon a Time in the Weird West. There are the first 6 stories in there. The 7th story was in Gunsmoke and Dragonfire, a fantasy western anthology, which is an anthology that I edited and published last year. And there's links to buy all that stuff on my sites if you're interested. But the point being is that this year I'm intending to, when I'm done the draft for Borderland. Oh, thank you for the follow, whoever that was. I'm going to check. Bodagazilla? Have I got that right? Welcome and thank you for the follow. That's great. But yeah, I'm going to publish that on its own as a ebook over the next month or so. And then I'm going to work on Borderland, which is Weird West Chronicle number 8. The Weird West Chronicles are novelettes or novellas. The shortest one's about 8,000 words. That's the first one. The longest one was almost a novel in and of itself. It was about 40,000 words, and that was the 6th one, which was called The Widow's Gambit. So, and I serialized this stuff to my patrons. So this is a plug, right? If you are interested, it costs $1 a month to read my serial fiction. That is all. So we give more information depending on your subscriber level. Subsequent levels get things like RPG material, behind the scenes information, hidden secrets and spoilers, right? I also do audio readings at higher levels, live streamed readings, video behind the scenes stuff, right? So there it is if you want to check it out. But if you want to sample, the first chapter, which is the first story, is free. You can read that on my Weird West website, which is worldanvil.com/w/weirdwest, weird with a Y. All right, so now we're going to do some editing work on Borderland. Now, I'd already started this story, but that's perfectly fine for NaNoWriMo. This is their basic interface here. Oh, wait, you know what I should show you first? I should show you what this stuff looks like published. Okay, so this is a published manuscript. So when you click on it, right, it will show you a view. And this is your presentation page. Check this out. I think this is the coolest shit ever, right? Links immediately to my world, so you can check out the world if you want to, right? Here's my blurb. In a post-apocalyptic Saskatchewan, the gunslingers are a holy order of law, empowered to keep the peace and protect the common people. They have supernatural powers to back it up. The Walsh siblings are about to find themselves entangled in the nefarious schemes of a necromancer, but they're not gunslingers, not yet. Graham and Piper will need all of their training and courage and all the support of their newfound companions to put a stop to the villain's plans. Fortunately, Graham has an ace up his sleeve. Nobody but his family and his teacher know that he's a sorcerer. Welcome to the Weird West. So there's my blurb, right? It is in English. I would like to thank Dimitri, specifically online here while I am on stream, because I mentioned in the development chat, initially he had it set up so there were different flags, right? And there was a flag for American English and there was a flag for UK English. And I was like, okay, I'm Canadian and it's very different from both. And I realize this sounds like I'm being a nitpicky asshole, but the reason why I'm pointing this out is because other people have dragged me for spelling things like a Canadian with the implication that I am an idiot, right? So, and people tend to be hard on indie authors for spelling and grammar online, so I think it might, have broad implications. So instead what he did is actually just put the names of the languages, right? So, there's Deutsch, right? And there's Francais, right? And so on, right? So, and it just says English. So, you're awesome, Dimitri. Thank you for, taking my concern under consideration, and I appreciate it. And he did that like last night. So, anyway, these are the different genres: steampunk, post-apocalyptic, fantasy, high magic, western, and note, not safe for work content, violence. I have some pretty graphic violence. It is about gunslinging after all, right? So, I'm not as mild as spaghetti westerns, and I'm not as violent as Tarantino, okay? There you go. And then link to my Patreon, and then you can check out the stuff, right? I started with the front matter, which is what was actually printed in the book. So you have all my copyright information, my ISBN, my dedications, all that stuff. And then I just divided them according to the story, right? So you will be able to read the first one for free. It's all available to the public. After that, you gotta pay, because the rest of it is for my patrons. Or you can buy it online or whatever. It's available on Amazon, it's available in Barnes & Noble, it's available in, Indigo. You have to order it, but it'll be there. You can do that, so. Alright. So now that I've shown you that stuff, oh, am I listening to a different thing here? Yes, I am. I better shut this off, because I don't have copyright permission for that one. So we'll go back to the first music we were listening to. Is that where it was? No. Here we go. Okay, so I was going back because I'm going to go to Edit, Borderland. Oh yeah, hey, I almost forgot. I didn't show you my inspiration board for Weird West, did I? So this will give you kind of a feel of what's going on. Here's my aesthetic that I made for this one. This, by the way, this whole strip of things right here are in my Universal World content, right? The whole thing, right? I've got a table of contents, like most people do. Then I've got a listing of where you can buy the books. And you can even go and read what's available to read from Once Upon a Time in the Weird West. Right? Just click right there. You know, it's awesome that you can do that. Right? So this is one of the ways in which World Anvil is really good for writers to help promote your books, guys. Here's just some pictures, just stuff that inspires me. These are some of the characters. That's the protagonist, Graham. Made that in Art Breeder. Without the border. I got the border from a public domain site. That is his horse, Lightning, his buddy. That's Piper. You know, glowing spurs, because they're like paladin gunslingers, right? That is Woodhouse. He's one of the major characters. Some post-apocalyptic landscape to look at for you. This is Emma. She is also one of the major characters. I see I've spelled portrait wrong in that because I was doing it in a hurry. Right? This is Chickcha. He's also one of the major characters. That's Wesson Smith. He's a gnome also. And then these are, you know, gunslinger parents, some landscape shots. All of this is public domain, or I took it myself. I took that picture myself. That is the just outside of the Capel Valley in Saskatchewan. So, yeah, just stuff to inspire me. And that's done. And then this stuff over here, quotes from Westerns that are appropriate. See this lovely picture, but I can only find it in this size. It's an airship and dinosaurs in mountains. My playlist links and various songs. You know, God's Gonna Cut You Down, Big Iron, Drink with the Living Dead, Four Strong Winds, Ghost Riders in the Sky. You know, the stuff you'd expect, right? And then some songs for the bad guys. This is my first ever piece of fan art that someone made for something I wrote, and I'm just delighted. This is here because it exists, and I love it. It's cool. That's a voltaic rifle, would be what he's carrying. This was kind of his image of what Graham might look like. And the guy who made this is Morley D. Greening, and he's awesome. So, yeah. And this is a picture that was made, again, by Aaron Siddall for the Weird West. So, good stuff. Oh, and my book trailer type inspirational video, which is done in a machinima style, which means it borrows things from other stuff. Since I've been yapping about my own stuff for a while, I should probably go back and check what people have said. Oh, Danny said, and I missed it, the bat looks like a red panda with wings. I agree. Flying foxes. They're cool. Walking Dead Lover says, supposedly they're very friendly and only eat fruits and I think some nuts. Right? Oh no, I read that one already. Okay. Boda Gazala says, oh man, I'm pumped. I love Weird Westerns. Cool. I find a lot of people don't know what Weird Westerns are, and I love them too. I think they're the neatest thing ever. There's so much you can do. I love the juxtaposition of the grittiness of a Western and the strangeness and absurdism and fantastical elements of fantasy or horror, right? You put it all together, and it just makes the whole thing like either you really feel it or you really don't, right? And if it's well done, it makes it all more credible. And I aspire to that. I hope I succeed. Akimoto says he joined on Patreon, or they joined on Patreon. Well, thank you very much for joining on Patreon. Right on. Well, I look forward to giving you the access to both worlds, by the way. Serialized fiction, the Weird West stuff's already been published. You guys are basically the beta readers for the Toy Soldiers stuff that is the novels, which is what I've started with, right? And yeah, I hope you enjoy. Thank you very much. Lorraine says, I blame the grammar, spelling, harshness on the fan fiction comment sections. Yeah, that's probably it. You know, okay. Okay. Whoop, wrong screen. Okay, my soapbox. All right, it's a soapbox. It is not in the interests of traditional publishers, particularly the big ones, to encourage the development of the indie writing industry, right? Because ultimately it cuts into their bottom line, right? Or at least they perceive that it does. It actually doesn't, right? There's been quite a lot of, like when the data's analyzed, right? It really doesn't. But it's logical to assume that it will, right? So there's been kind of a, I think it's partially deliberate spread of the idea that indie writers are not as professional or as good as traditionally published writers, and therefore their grammar and spelling is analyzed with painstaking scrutiny that is not applied to traditionally published work. Now, to some degree, the criticism is warranted, because anybody can just publish if they're indie publishing. That is absolutely true, right? And a lot of people are inexperienced, or they, don't believe they have the money to put into editing, or they don't, make other arrangements if they don't have the money to put into it, and they publish stuff, and you should never publish anything without an editor because you will screw it up, right? And so that's a legitimate critique when that happens. But indie publishing is its own business with its own rules now, right? And there are a lot of professional resources out there, and just because something is indie published does not mean that it is crap. So I think people, I think people are really hard on this, and the more, something I'm aware of, because remember, I'm published in both traditionally and independently, right? So I do have some inside knowledge of both worlds, right? And publishers, in order to compete, are often required to cut more and more corners in order to make their work viable by a competition. So one of the places they've been cutting it is editing. So you're ending up with a lot of, named authors that, you should know, right? Whose editors are not doing the job that, a traditional publishing house's editor should be doing. So really, the gap is narrowing for the reasons that, due to cutting costs, a lot of traditional publishers are getting less professional, and due to being more professional, the independent writing is getting better. Oh, hello, Time Pool. Thank you for the raid. Nice to see you. Awesome. Yay. So glad you're here. Thanks for that. That's really cool. All right. Akibota says, LOL, so people die. Pang. Yeah, pretty violent. Yeah, in some places, but not nearly as, like, I don't know, Tarantino's got a love affair with showing every drop of blood and every brain matter splat, doesn't he? Right? I mean, like, I love Tarantino movies, don't get me wrong, but, you know, yeah, I'm not quite that violent. Not in this book. I can be in Toy Soldier, it's a war. I impress that on people, but there we go. Alright, Walking Dead Lover says, now that I think about it, part of the second book of my series has some weird Western stuff in it. I'll have to research more into that. Absolutely. My suggestion for the place to start is TV Tropes. They have an excellent section on weird Westerns. Kajutan says, Weird Western are so niche that its Polish Wikipedia site has literally one sentence. That does not surprise me. That does not surprise me at all. It's unfortunate, but there you are. Yeah. Mergendor says, I've read a lot of indie published books on Kindle the last little while. While they do have some editing issues, they have great stories for less money. See, now that's a thing, right? Indie publishing has unfortunately been undercutting itself, so really we all should be charging a lot more. And by the way, if you want to buy the books, do it today, because I'm about to raise my prices. Speaking of which, right? If you're looking for my books on Amazon, just type in Diane Morrison and, you know, get them now, right? Because they're going to go up, right? But, and why? Because somebody suggested that I am not selling them for enough. So, and we will see, right? But, you know, I got to make a living. Right? So they've been undercutting each other a lot, and they're not making as much as they should be, right? But on the other hand, it's a point of note that traditional publishing wants to publish what they know, right? Believe will do well, right? And that's why a lot of stuff that you see ends up being very similar to other stuff that you've seen, because they know it's a formula that works, right? They don't really want to take a risk on what might be a really original idea. Now, granted, you might have to dig through a pile of shit to get through to the diamond sometimes, right? But there are real diamonds out there that are highly original and interesting, and, you know, no publisher actually would have published them, right? So there are lots of different reasons to indie publish, you know? Maybe you just don't have the confidence to have somebody rake you through the coals when you submit your work for critique and editing and to agents, which, by the way, can be brutal. I have cried over it, right? So maybe you don't want that, and I don't blame you. Mergendor says, oh no, I just read that. Lorraine says, thanks for the raid time pool. Oh, and World Anvil is now hosting me. Thank you very much, World Anvil. Hello, hello. Lorraine says, everyone's writing dystopia because Hunger Games did well, for example. Yes, absolutely. And specifically, they're writing YA dystopia, right? And, you know, so you get these trends. I'm not saying they're bad books. They're not necessarily bad books. Some of them are great books, right? But you do end up in these patterns, right? And Secondhand Samurai is going with World Anvil cheer, because yay! Right? And Kajitan says, it sounds like a description of Wattpad. Yeah, a little bit, right? People, you know. And the other thing is, indie writers depend upon reviews, right? Because there's a perceived legitimacy that comes with somebody else publishing your book, right? So people go, oh, well, they must be a real writer because somebody else published them. So clearly somebody else thought they were worth publishing, right? And there's something to that, right? But in part, it's that they thought it was a marketable product, right? Because even the best intentioned editors, and believe me, most of them are really well intentioned, right? Like, I genuinely believe the most publishers out there love literature, really want to help writers get out there, really care about the industry, right? I believe they do. But they also are not going to spend money on something that they don't think is going to sell, right? So, you know, there's, you know, on the other hand, indie writers are experimental. They'll try different things. You know, maybe it won't do anything. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't do anything for 10 years, you know, and then all of a sudden it'll take off, right? So Yeah, right. Indie writers depend upon reviews for other people to think that they're any good, right? And if people are especially cruel in a review, you can really damage their career. I will generally, if I'm going to roll somebody in a review, not post the review at all if I know they're an indie writer, because maybe, you know, uh, maybe it's their first book and they don't know that they needed an editor, and I don't want to screw up their whole career forever, right? Because, they made one mistake, right? Um, Sometimes I've given what I consider to be a really good review, like I've given a high rating, right? But I have uh, criticized things like the editing, right? In particular, there's been there's a really great book, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it was a really great science fiction book. I really loved it. The writer is amazing. The plot is really interesting, and there were a couple of really glaring mistakes in the editing that really hurt her overall product, right? And I gave her a high rating, but I pointed out that these are editing issues, and I really felt that this writer, who is amazing, was getting a shitty deal from their editor, right? So, anyway, yeah, just something to keep in mind, guys, right? Lorraine says after Twilight started getting big, it was all the vampire supernatural romance stories. Yep. And then she says, I admit when looking for good fan fiction to read, I tend to look at the review favorites counts. Yeah, that's, and what else are you going to do? You don't really have any other metric, you know? Right? I don't have time to read everything in the world. I have to make selections, right? And then Mergendor says, does Kindle Unlimited make you much money, or is it not worth doing? That's a good question, and the answer is unhelpfully, like most things in publishing, it depends, right? I know a romance writer who is making a killing on Kindle Unlimited. She does it exclusively. She makes enough to support herself on what she makes on Kindle Unlimited, and it's great. Other people don't get a lot of response, right? I put some of my stuff on Kindle Unlimited. I don't put all of it on Kindle Unlimited because I believe in diversifying, right? I do better some months in Kindle Unlimited than I do in my other sales, right? My advice to newer writers is write a couple different things, right? Put a couple of like shorts on Kindle Unlimited and give that a try and see if it yields anything for you before you invest in it 100% for everything that you do, right? But give it a try. Some people do really well. Lorraine inserts jokes about romance books being easy when she knows they aren't really easy to write. Yeah, it is hard, right? It's hard to write a good romance. Have you ever tried writing a romance and capturing chemistry? It's hard, right? I struggle with this in the plot of my books, like, when the romance parts, right? I actually have written a romance story. It was a Toy Soldier Saga story, and it was published in an anthology called Chasing Fireflies, a summer romance anthology from Fiction Atlas Press. And it was a challenge, and that was actually my first fiction major publication outside of a magazine, right? I had some friends. They said, "Why don't you submit a story?" I said, "Okay," right? And it made it. So, cool. But it was hard. It was really hard. So no, romances are not easy. Every genre has their own challenges because they have their own expectations. I would even argue that literary fiction is a genre. Yes, I'm sorry, it is. Right? It has its own conventions and its own expectations. So, just like every other genre. Oh, and you're welcome. No worries. That's partially what I'm here for, to answer writing questions. If I can answer it, I will answer it. Akimoto says I'm off. It's almost 1 a.m. Have a nice time. Well, thank you so much for coming, and thank you for joining my Patreon. Make sure that you sign up. If you already have a World Anvil account, there should be the information there to get you your subscriptions at World Anvil for the fiction that I'm writing. And cool. And if not, I will add you myself in the next couple of days. All right? And have a good night. Thanks for coming. All right, we got like about 20 minutes left of the stream. At least that's what's scheduled. And I'm not going to go over because there's a big schedule of people streaming SummerCamp today, and I want to make sure that I'm not overlapping anybody when I didn't already tell them I was going to be here. So I think I'm going to do a little work directly on the manuscript. And this is fun because I don't really know where I'm going from here. All right, so far in my story, the title characters there, Graham and Piper, have left their home in Saskatchewan, and they are on their way to the Sacred Armory in Fort Whistler, which is in British Columbia. Well, except of course they don't call it British Columbia anymore. The train derailed in the Rogers Pass around Canmore, right? And it turns out that there was a barricade set up on the tracks because there is a big land dispute going on, right? And the land dispute is between the local First Nations, a bunch of gnomes, a bunch of dwarves, the humans who live in Canmore, right? And local elves who are guarding the Burgess Shale, basically, right? So, as like a nature preserve. So Graham has offered his services as a mediator, because that is one of the things that gunslingers can do in this area, is they have legal authority and can act as mediators, judges, right? Piper is his little sister. She is currently his apprentice, right, and is helping him out. Woodhouse came along. He's a roguish sort of bartender character, right? And they are encountering elves, and elves don't like half-elves, which is what Graham is. Piper is a full-blooded elf. Graham is not. So, this is the meeting with the elves. I'm not on the right screen. Haha, I'm no help. Okay, there we are. Kajitan says, would you read a book with a blurb like that? Earth was invaded by aliens and humans are being enslaved and killed. Sophie Mazur is lucky to be rescued by the soldiers of the enemy of the invaders of Earth. She must adjust to a new life in an alien world. Meanwhile, the human resistance forces are calling everyone to arms. You're damn right I would read a book like that, right? I can think of several examples of books with not the same plot, but things that would be in common, right? The one that I can think of most clearly is the great Octavia Butler's Xenogenesis series, right? Where basically we blew ourselves up in a nuclear war. Aliens came to rescue us, right? But the thing is that what they do is that they advance themselves as a species by trading genetics with other races. And they wanted to borrow some of our genetics in return for, saving us. However, the problem is that they don't think that we, as we were, deserve to continue to exist because clearly we're flawed. We blew ourselves up. And it's about the woman who is dealing with being like a captive and rescuee of some of these aliens. So, yeah. Lorraine's, so yeah, right, definitely. That was one of my favorite series of all time. To answer your question, I would totally read that book. Okay, Lorraine says, oh, fun, they have the Rockies, and then I bet the Cascades they have to cross. Yes, they do. You betcha. If I recall my memory of the fur trade forts, you bet. The railway pretty much still runs where it ran, right? Back in the fur trading days. So I'm pretty much just going on where the railroad currently exists. And mostly now it's used for shipping, but Walking Dead Lover says it sounds great but gets wordy around rescued by the soldiers of the enemy of the invaders of Earth. Yeah, maybe go with something like rescued by invaders of Earth's enemies. You don't have to, just a suggestion. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. Oh, and that reminds me too, another book series that was similar to it that I read recently wasn't as good as Octavia Butler, but like a sort of a similar plot is that what was it? War Dogs was the first book in the series. I don't remember what the trilogy was called by Greg Bear, right? And it's Space Marines, right? And they're fighting for this one side against this other alien invaders. It's the whole, yeah, there's these aliens and they're terrible and they're coming for you, so we're here to help you, right? And that whole thing is going on. We should combine forces against this alien enemy, but maybe they aren't what they say they are, right? So that's interesting, right? And that was really good too. It wasn't, of course, Octavia Butler, who can compare, but but it was good. I enjoyed it. All right. So I think I'm gonna do a couple minutes of sprinting. I was going to do it here, but I see I have 10 minutes left now, so I'm probably going to go back to my original article and then do the next, but I'm going to start the next chapter here. So, right. In this particular document, because it's a shorter document, I'm starting, notice their format here, okay? We start with, there's the basic manuscript settings. There's my title page thing, this is where I can put the blurb, so to speak. English, right? Ongoing, in progress, whatever, completed, right? But I don't have my blurb yet because I haven't finished. I never write my blurbs until I'm done because I like them to succinctly summarize things. Access for the moment is private because it's unpublished, right? And will stay private except for my subscribers. Different tiers get different access to different things, but everybody gets access. If you're a subscriber on Patreon, you get access to my fiction, so all of those will apply. And then labels, this is just for your own purpose. You can color code things like this is an action scene, this is a character development scene, this is a the subplot, whatever, this is the romantic subplot, and it'll highlight it in different colors, which I think is really cool and will probably not use. But I think it's cool that it's an option, right? Some people really like to think about their manuscripts like that, and that's a useful thing. You can set your background color, font size, etc. Right? This is statistics about who's viewed it. This is about access to the manuscript. You can also make individual chapters available to different people. Let me show you. Right? Here's chapter 1. Right? There's like the one scene under it. Right? And I can change it to public and give you a sample. Right? But beware that if you're going to make any of the work public, then you have to make the whole thing public, like in the official setting here, right? Like when you're back in the main menu here, you have to go to access and you have to make that public if you're gonna make any part of it public. But then you can, from there, make everything private to individual groups, depending, say you want to let people read the first chapter so that they, get sucked into your book, right? Very common tactic. Works really well for Eric Flint. He's made his whole career making things free. Okay? So you can do that, right? And then the rest of it could be private, right? So, and what you would do for that is you would go to, say, all right, chapter 2 out of Cowtown, right? And then you would go here and you would select private and then what subscriber groups you wanted to have access to it. Which is just fucking cool. I'm sorry, it's just cool. So this is where I currently was. This is my last chapter. So you go, this is how you add chapters. You go up here, folder, right? And had put it underneath there. I got to keep moving this back the way I'm doing this particular book. It's because it's a short with little parts, right? And this would be where you'd put the title here, over here in this corner would be where you put the title of the chapters or scene you're writing. And I don't know what I'm calling it yet. The last thing was that exchange. I would say let's see, border town. I think I'm going to call this part because this is going to be about being in the town. Okay. And I may change that later if I want to. Now under here, I can add text or an image. You can add an image. Move that back underneath. Now I've got a format that I'm using. Right? And I've noticed, by the way, you can copy, if you've done this in Word, you can copy it directly from Word and it will maintain all the formatting you put in Word. It may not use the same font, but it will use the same formatting. Your headings will remain headings, your italics will remain italicized. I cannot tell you how awesome I think that is. I haven't tried copying it back. This is something I intend to do today. I will let you know on my weekend stream, Sable's World Forge, whether or not it worked out. But I don't have any reason to think it won't. So if it worked one way, it'll probably work the other too. That is cool, because what that means, I was trying to get Dimitri to make it exportable to Word. And this was not something that was, you know, I mean, like, it's possible, but it's really hard, right? So there's going to be an API and he's going to, you know, handle it that way. Until then, right, you can export it into I think a PDF or an EPUB, right? But you can't export it into a Word document. And I do all my editing in Word, as do most of the traditionally published writers you'll encounter. It's still the preferred method. Indie writers prefer Google Docs for some reason. Basically, they reinvented the wheel, right? The indie publishing has its own traditions and formats because they didn't have access to the traditional publishing stuff, so they just reinvented the wheel, right? And that's one of the ways they did it is they tend to use Google Docs. But because I use Word, I was very concerned about this, right? But if I can copy this back and forth with a simple copy and paste by scene, I'm set, man. I'm set. So, really cool. Anyway, I'm copying that like that, so I can go here to my scene, and now I'm going to get that, right? But we're going to change this, and I'm going to leave one letter just to make sure to use my title that I want to use. And then this formatting is all set up, and I'll just highlight it and start typing over it, right? Awesome. Oh, hello, Story Girl. Story Girl just arrived while I was yapping away at the end of my stream here. Nice to see you. How are you? Did you stream today? I haven't had time to do anything but this, so... Are you doing NaNoWriMo? Camp NaNoWriMo? Story Girl is in Australia. So... and she has a writing channel that you guys should check out as well. Lorraine says, finally recalled the name of the fur trade group. She was trying to recall the Hudson Bay Company. Yeah, the Hudson Bay Company. Yep, they did a lot of the groundwork for a post-apocalyptic society to build off from in a recovery. Well, that's true. The Hudson's Bay Company were, I mean, Canada wouldn't exist in the modern form without their, like, you know, explorations inspired by the fur trade, right? And there's a whole culture of people that exists because they existed. It's really actually very interesting. You want to study colonial cultures, they're a good place to start. Like they're interesting. They weren't always the nicest people. Let's just be clear about that. Kajutan says, it was nice listening to you. It is late now. Good night. Well, good night to you too. I'm only on for a couple more minutes anyway, and I'm really glad you joined me, and thank you so much. It was really a pleasure talking to you too. Walking Dead Lover says, I wish we could add more labels if we used the ones there. That's a good question. I don't know if that's possible. I know you can make custom headings, right? But when the Alchemist channel opens up to beta discussion, which it should any day now that it's in open beta today, right? Then maybe ask if you would like that to be an option, right? It's still in beta. You can still, if other people think there's a use case, Dimitri will do it. Story Girl answers me, not yet. Going to get cracking on some chapters shortly. Well, excellent. Are you like before your stream, or are you like just ending your stream? Because if you're before your stream, maybe I'll come over and do some writing with you. I ended up doing a lot more talking than I did writing on this stream, but that's fine. Karan says, I use InDesign, Karan J. Fox, right? Like I said, check out his channel too, right? Which is what most publishers will have their layout people use. Yes, that's absolutely true. Importing from Word is easy, but only if you've used paragraph styles such as header styles. Same thing from Google Docs. That's good to know. Most of the time when I've worked with traditional publishers, they're not thinking of InDesign when they're always asking for submissions in Word format, right? Most of the magazines I've dealt with have asked for submissions in Word format. A few of them ask for RTF, right? Yeah. Rarely do they ask for Google Docs. And perhaps, I mean, like, I don't know if the integration with InDesign is why. I do know that they use it though, right? I was told that my first published book, the first traditionally published book that I did, I was sent the InDesign proofs, right? So I'm sure that's absolutely true. Yeah. Story Girl says, been absorbed with AC Odyssey. Procrastinating. Glarval says, I wonder how Scrivener exports for InDesign. That's a good question. I don't know the answer. Maybe Karan does. Because I don't use Scrivener. This is the closest thing to Scrivener I've used is this setup in World Anvil. I really like it though. Story Girl says, I might stream soonish. Haven't streamed tonight. Well, I'll keep the window up, and if I get the notification, I'll come on over. Karan says, Word is great for the simple reason that everyone uses it. Yep, it's ubiquitous. And there is a dedicated Word import, but their layout people will thank you for using styles. I try to. Actually, that's an important thing. I should mention that. If you don't know how to use styles, right, then there are ways to do that. Like when you have made a header, go and click on, header 1, for example, in the formatting thing, right? And if it doesn't look like what you want it to look like, make it look like what you want it to look like, and then say, save current header as header 1 or something. There's a function that does that, and then it'll just do that. Although I have to tell you, I'm having some real problems with one manuscript in particular, in that I've got some of the stuff indented, but I don't want to indent the headings. They're centered, but it's indenting the heading and then centering it. I cannot figure out what the hell I'm doing wrong. It's just something screwed up in it. It would be something that would be fixed in the coding if we were on World Anvil. This is where they would say, go to the legacy editor, right? But there is no legacy editor for Word, so I feel sorry for the poor formatter that's going to have to deal with that crap later. Yeah. Story Girl says, yep, smashed out a little thing earlier. That's great. Probably won't be until at least 6:30 p.m. PST. Well, okay, so that's a couple hours from now, so keep your eye out. I'm going to find somebody to raid here before we sign off, by the way. Glarval says Scrivener does all that as well. Well, that's good to know. That's cool. A lot of friends of mine use Scrivener and they swear by it. I'm just a Luddite, and I'm very reluctant to try new technologies. If it ain't broke, I don't want to fix it. right? So I like stuff that's easy to integrate. And Karan says, I've never used Scrivener, but if someone's interested, I'd be happy to figure out how it gets along with InDesign in the best way. Okay, that's cool. So if you guys use Scrivener, get a hold of him because I'm sure he would love to know. And then come tell me because I also want to know. And Lorraine says, Laura Bones is streaming. That's right, she's on now. Okay. So you know what, guys? It's 2 minutes after 4 o'clock by my clock here, and I really actually do need to get some writing done today. Karin teaches InDesign professionally. That's cool. That's very cool. We should, like, you know, see if we can organize a class for World Anvil people. That would be fun. Glarval says, it's the main program I use. I'm waiting to get it for Windows so I can get it at a discount. The Scrivener? Yeah, absolutely. There's usually a discount for people who finish NaNo goals, so you may want to sign up for Camp NaNo so you can get that done, right? Lorraine says, have a good writing time. I think I have half my next prompt written. That's awesome. Mergador says, I've really enjoyed your stream. Thank you. Well, thank you guys for coming. This was really cool. I always enjoy these streams. I like talking to people about my favorite subject, writing. You know, I like the friendly community, right? I'm going to be on my Discord. I'm on the World Anvil Discord. It's Sable Aradia. Either way, I'm on Twitter at Sable Aradia. Talk to me. You got any questions, you know, comments, things you want to run by me, I'm happy to answer them. You want an invitation to my Discord and you're on World Anvil, send me a direct message and I will give you an invitation. And let's see, what else I forgot to say? Right, reminder, contest for NaNoWriMo people, right? If you succeed at whatever your writing goal is for the month, let me know and I will put you in for a draw to win one of 3 classes that I teach online at the Rambo's Academy for Wayward Writers. It's run by Nebula and World Fantasy award-winning author Kat Rambo, who is also the president of the Science Fiction and Fantasy Writers of America for several years, right? And my class is called Writing in the Cracks, How to Find Time for Writing When You Have None. And yeah, I'm offering 3 of those, just random draw to anybody who succeeds at their goal. So I'm also going to be sponsoring one of the summer camp prompts. It will be in Wave 2, and it will be a tradition prompt. So you will win books for that. You will win my ebooks. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. I'm going to go over to the stream manager now here, wherever one that was in. There it is. So that we can raid Laura. All right. So if you're going to raid Laura, just stay right here and we'll head over. I'll see you guys on the weekend, either Saturday or Sunday for Sable's World Forge. All right. Have a good afternoon, guys. Happy writing.
Medicine. Oh, hello, raiders, and welcome. Thank you very much for that raid, Sable Aradia. I hope your stream